Sometimes I don't even have to use the gavel. It just gets so quiet. But I like using the gavel, so I'll do it anyway. I'll call us to order, and we'll start our study session. Summer, if you'll call roll.
Commissioner Patterson?
Here.
Commissioner Norwood? Here. Commissioner Baker?
Here.
Commissioner Roberts?
Here.
Commissioner Stallings?
Here.
Commissioner Dennis?
Here.
And Mayor Mason.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right. Item number 2 at the Commissioner's request, discuss any item of concern on the regular session agenda. Anybody have anything? I'd like to bring up 5.1.10. This is talking about the DSIP money and the request, the contracts that we have on here. And Gerald, if you want to kind of talk about what's going on there so everybody knows.
Yes, I'll generally tell you what's happened. We have a deadline tomorrow, let's see, July 3rd, Thursday, to turn in DSIP applications. We're going to turn in 2. One is for 5.9 for OG&E, redundant electrical substation infrastructure, and 5.10, though, is the one for a water line. It would be a redundant water line that would help solve an issue that they also have at Vance Air Force Base, and also help the city. And on that resolution that we put together quickly, we've had some good news. When it was originally written last week, it was written for a certain amount, and now we've determined that we can ask for more money. So good timing. Stephen, do you want to tell them exactly what changed in the amounts and how you are able to get us more money if we change the resolution amount?
Good evening. We discovered today that we were able to ask for basically just some additional funding. Sorry, I'm getting to my resolution here. The amounts initially, we thought certain categories were not included, but they are, and what's eligible funding request. So we're able to update our request from $8 million to just over 850. Sorry, $8,500,000. So we're going to be asking for $567,000 more than what we initially were going to ask for. So that's our update for today. And then the city will be, there's costs that they will not cover with the grant, so the city will be responsible for about $250,000 in what they call soft cost, which would be our matching funds for the project if we're approved.
That's nice.
So
We're not bashful about asking for more money, are we?
that's right. If it's available, we'll ask. Yeah.
What I think should happen is when we come to the consent, you pull that off, and based on our notice that as long as it is the same item, that you all can discuss and make changes. So then we'd ask for a recommendation to increase the amount and indicate that we know that there will be matching funds. And then vote on that separately in our regular meeting.
And you can give us the exact amounts then, Stephen, you can, to somebody to make the motion whenever we get ready to do that then.
You printed those off for me, but I didn't pick them up.
Okay, I have a copy here.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. If you have another one for us up here, that would be,
I can
or
read-
Carol can read off the amounts.
Or I can bring you some. I don't have extras here, but I can bring some.
You are wonderful.
Okay.
You're too good for me. Yeah, I tell you what. Quite done.
All right. Any questions? Any other questions?
No, it's good news.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good news.
$1 million. Yeah.
Anything else that needs to be discussed on the regular agenda before I move on? Okay. Item 3.1, update on the 4th of July activities. Corey, if you want to tell us about all the festivities that are going to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to bring Karen with me. She's the one behind it all, so she does all the hard work. So we're going to start the day off on Friday morning at 5 a.m. with our fishing derby. That will last till final weigh-ins at 10:30, and our prizes will be given
Let me
away.
know how that goes.
Well, if you don't watch that or go to that, you can go watch me tag them at about 10:30 on Thursday if you
Okay.
want to. So.
All right.
I'll let you kind of take over.
Okay.
So 5 is a little early. We do have a lot of people that come and get in line around midnight. Some pretty avid fishers around here, so fishers. I heard you. Fisher people, yeah. So like you said, the day before, they approximately 500 pounds of fish is what we get. Corey tags those. The tagged ones have prizes. Any fish can be weighed for the biggest fish, though. After it's stopped, there's no fishing until the fishing derby, so the Parks Department kind of patrols the waters and makes sure that it's fair fishing for everybody. 5 a.m. is registration and check-in. They can do the form online and bring it with them. Everyone has to have a bracelet. We give them like little wristbands just so we know that we're doing our due diligence. So if the game warden shows up, we've had them fill out the form. 5:30 a.m. is when the horn blows and they can start fishing. Tagged fish, like I said, we have 3 different colors. We change them out every year. Each color has a different price range, and then Corey kind of tags based on how many prizes we have. So kids can't lose when you're a kid. Bring up a fish. We have a box special for them, so they get something no matter what. Final weigh-in is at 10:30. There's 3 specific prizes. We have a first and second for the biggest fish, and then we do a first place for albino. There hasn't been an albino fish caught in 5 years. This is our 7th year of doing it. So there should be some in there. If there's not any albino fish, we do a third place for the biggest fish. And then 11 a.m. is when we announce. After that, the miniature golf and snow cones, paddle boats, train stop express concessions all opens at noon. Kiwanis is going to come in at 3 and start the rides. The symphony is going to start at 8:30, and then, of course, fireworks at dusk. So there is parking available inside the park for handicap. Once that gets full, the police department kind of shuts down those inlets to keep people from parking kind of everywhere. But yep, that's it. That's Friday.
Well, it's a fantastic patriotic 4th of July in Enid America. One thing I do want to add that we're going to probably update is I know the base, Ashley, thank you for working with us to get that flyover. I think that's been approved.
Okay.
I don't know what time that will happen yet. I think the coordination's with the symphony director, Doug Newell. So good news. I missed it last year, so I don't want to miss it this year. Get a chance to see that. You've got some really great prizes. I don't recall what they are, but I know people will be lined up.
Yeah.
It is not cool to come and try to cheat.
No.
That's not the American way. It's not the Enid way. So, but
Yeah.
because we know, unfortunately, some people will do that, other people besides the mayor and myself will be out there to make sure that doesn't happen. Right?
Yeah.
And thank you for you guys' hard work. And the park department will be busy that day.
Oh, yeah.
Corey, your team. Karen is our event coordinator, so this is not the only thing she does. She does events throughout the year, so thank you very
She's
much.
really good on this. She's really good about getting all the prizes prepared and prepped and all that. She tells me what to tag and how to do it. I say, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be a big day and make a lot of kids happy. And thank y'all for putting so much time in it and effort. And I know there's a lot more time goes in it than what we even realize. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Any questions y'all want to ask? Or
No, I just think next year we need to organize another park cleanup at Meadow Lake, a couple of weekends or the weekend before, to kind of help you
Maybe
guys
at
out.
midnight or something, or?
Or 5 o'clock in the morning.
5 o'clock. Oh, Lord.
yeah, next year's going to be 250 years for our country.
Yes, and I don't want to blow it, because I think Main Street, when they come up and talk about walkability, are you going to talk about the wonderful Coney Island hot dog eating contest? Well, maybe I'll talk about it, okay. It's on the agenda, so I won't talk about it.
No, I just wanted to say, we were shooting a Enid Buzz video out at the park today, and an enormous number of city folks out getting it ready. So, I mean, you had everybody out in full covering, looked like every aspect of cleanup.
Yeah,
Very cool.
absolutely. The biggest event of the year, I think last year, we did the the survey, and there's about 8,000 people out there that day, in one day.
Really?
So, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty
Wow, I would
impressive.
not have guessed that.
That's cool.
Very good. Well, we sure encourage everybody to come out and bring a lawn chair. It's beautiful around the water at night with all the fireworks going on. You know, people, I hear people say there's nothing to do. There's something to go do.
And it's all free.
It's all free.
Can you
All
talk
free.
about parking for people?
Yeah. So like she said, around the rides, you know, we've got the little horseshoe parking there. That's all going to be strictly for handicap and orchestra folks because they need that whole area to line up. The rest of the parking is going to be wide open till it gets full, then the police will start shutting that down. From there on, it's kind of a free-for-all. We've still got the south side. In years past, we were able to park at the old Jeffco. I don't know if that's still a thing or not.
I did talk to Bree Steel. We are allowed to park there, so.
Great.
So that's an option. And other than that, just kind of the neighborhood roads
No
around there.
shuttle rides?
No, not this year, no.
We're encouraging fitness and walkability. However, you need to be careful crossing Van Buren, but the police will be out there to make sure that it's
Yes.
easy to do.
Yeah,
and
they're going to
safe.
be all over.
Can this go towards our TSEP grant that we put in on
Oh, the right people are here to
healthy
ask, I think.
part of it? And- Okay. Yeah. All right. If nothing else, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Item 3.2, discussion on the current status of downtown revitalization efforts, walkability, and opportunities for future improvement. Ms. Natalie Rapp. We have a whole group. I might even introduce them.
Yeah, do.
Want to,
Yeah.
and-
Sure. So we have Charlotte here. She used to work with Main Street, but she is now the director of Leonardo's. And we have Kelly and Ty here. Kelly was the previous Main Street director, and Ty's just the awesome Mr. Main Street that's been around and helping us a lot. Corey Keller, he works for Main Street, and then Keegan Toohey, that's my boyfriend. So, and we got Marcy Mack with ERDA, and then Stephanie, Kate, and Brandy with TSET here to support us as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mayor and Commissioners, for having me tonight to talk about a very important subject, which is downtown Enid. We all know how important that is. So what we will talk about today is a vision for downtown, so we can kind of take steps to achieve that. We actually have a really wonderful downtown, and a lot of our other Main Street directors and visitors that come into downtown Enid talk about how great it is and how many amenities that we have in the area that a lot of different downtowns don't have. So I know you guys are familiar, but I would like to just name a few of those, which would be the ballpark that brings in thousands of people a year for tournaments, an event and conference center, a hotel, which is wonderful, a children's museum, a community theater, a symphony, many restaurants, boutiques, and businesses, many events throughout the years, the Holidays on Ice downtown ice rink, and Bright Lights, the one Bright Lights, that brings in tens of thousands of people a year, and soon to be the amphitheater. So keep that in mind as we're discussing how we want our downtown to look and to be presentable to our visitors and people in our community. So downtown is the heart of our community. It has character in our buildings. It holds rich history dating all the way back to the beginning of Enid. It has many community business owners who are supportive, and it's where memories are made through many events downtown. I bet each one of you have a wonderful memory that you can think of that was made in our downtown area. So this presentation is to really get everyone thinking about our downtown mindfully and hopefully get us all on the same page to work together towards a downtown Enid that is for long-term growth and boost our economic vitality. So I understand what I'm about to talk about. Not everything may be possible, it may not come to fruition, but this is really just to get us thinking and visualizing what our downtown could be. We, of course, will need to conduct some studies. We will have to, obviously talk to our engineer, I would highly advise that we revisit our master plan or create a new one. So that way when we're doing projects, we're doing it with a purpose and a goal in mind. So as you all know, there are, and I'm going to talk about, there are many different downtowns in Oklahoma that have started streetscapes and are working towards making their downtown better. So, like me, I'm a little competitive. I would like to see us at the forefront of that and not one of the last. So, like I said, I have a great bunch of people here supporting this and others that could not make it today. So, with that, let's get started. So why we are here, obviously the purpose to propose a streetscape improvements to revitalize downtown Enid, to improve walkability, safety, and quality of life, and support economic growth and community vibrancy. So our current landscape is Enid's downtown streets are some of the widest in all of Oklahoma. As you can see, there, we have 4 ways, and so that causes a lot of danger and risk towards our pedestrians. We have no mid-block parking, which employees sometimes park in front of businesses, and we all know that's been kind of a battle, trying to figure out how we want parking downtown. So some of the things I'll propose could possibly help with that. And then walkability and pedestrian comfort are limited just due to some of the landscaping and of course, how big our downtown district is, which is wonderful. So we do have some real life consequences. That is, pedestrian injuries and collisions. They occur regularly. Some families and visitors don't feel safe. There's challenges that reoccur employers wanting livable community spaces, and then businesses miss foot traffic. We went around and we planted trees to kind of help with that, but during the summer it is very, very hot. And so not a lot of us want to walk around a downtown that is scalding hot on the sidewalks. And so businesses miss out on that opportunity. Now, of course, I understand that these things happen all over Enid, and it's not just in our downtown, but of course, we are looking to make our downtown very friendly for pedestrians and feel safer so people spend time there. We're not Van Buren or Garriott, so. Let's start with Lancaster Boulevard. This is in California. This is a really good streetscape that was done. There's case studies on how this went about. Tom Rowe with Settlers Brewing Company, he had friends on this team in California, and it's worked out really well for them. So this is just kind of to give you an idea of what something could look like whenever you have a ton of lanes, 4 or 5 lanes, and you condense it down and narrow it. So they use this for all kinds of things. The mid-block parking is also used for pedestrian refuge, and they do parties in the street. So here's some of the case studies, the results on that. So pedestrian collisions are down 78%, vehicle collisions down 38%, 57 new businesses opened, retail sales increased 57%, and then revenue from downtown increased 119%. So that was a study between 2007 and 2012. And I have a short video, it's about 4 minutes, that I would like to watch that kind of explains this streetscape and the great things that came out of it.
For this episode of Inspired Infrastructure, I want to do something a little different and explore a completed street project in Lancaster, California, which I discovered in a post recently by Hayden Clarkin, also known as the Transit Guy on social media. Now, prior to this street getting completely transformed in 2010, Lancaster Boulevard was your typical car-centric urban arterial. An overly wide 5-lane strode that prioritized vehicles over people. There were 2 lanes of traffic in each direction, plus a center running left turn lane, and while there were nice wide sidewalks, this corridor just had too much asphalt, making it uninviting for people walking, biking, or just gathering here at the heart of downtown. A street this wide creates a barrier for people moving around and connecting here, and it deters people from actually spending their time and money in a commercial corridor like this. Local businesses will feel that impact, and the economic potential of a downtown like this goes incredibly underutilized. Fortunately, the city of Lancaster decided to take a bold step and revitalize this downtown by transforming Lancaster Boulevard, and the results are impressive. They invested $11.5 million to completely transform 9 blocks of Lancaster Boulevard. The number of lanes were reduced from 5 to 2, and where those 3 middle lanes used to be, there's now a wide, tree-lined central space referred to as a rhombus. Construction of this improvement was completed in 2010, and according to an article at the Congress of New Urbanism, the corridor generated more than $270 million in economic output within 4 years. There was also a huge safety benefit too. By 2013, the number of collisions fell by almost a third, and injury crashes decreased by 67%. The key component of the transformation is this center running rhombus. Most times, it looks like the space is used as additional street parking, which can help businesses that don't have their own dedicated parking spaces. But what it also did was shorten the crosswalks so people can more safely and easily cross the street, which allowed also for new mid-block crosswalks, which give additional opportunity for connectivity between both sides of the street. And while I'm building the rhombus here in Beyond Typicals as a streetscaped parking lot, the space is also used by the city as a hub for street festivals and other community events. These conditions have turned Lancaster Boulevard into a more inviting environment for people, encouraging more folks to walk, shop, and dine downtown. Now, while this transformation is inspiring, I couldn't help but notice a few things where more modern urban design principles might suggest further improvements. For one, increasing the number of parking spaces can lead to more vehicular traffic, which could add to congestion and raise other safety issues, something that might counteract the reduction in travel lanes. And another point is, I don't see any space dedicated to biking. In today's push for multimodal transportation and complete streets, providing safe space for cyclists is crucial. Incorporating bike infrastructure encourages more people to choose cycling over driving, which can reduce traffic congestion, improve accessibility, and promote a healthier community. So maybe there's still an opportunity here. What if we assume that all the street parking is in the rhombus and replace those curbside spaces with some protected bikeways? Balancing parking needs with sustainable, accessible transportation options is a key aspect of urban design. Perhaps reallocating more of this space dedicated to the personal vehicle to a different option could further enhance the appeal and functionality of the street. Now, despite those considerations, Lancaster's transformation is a fantastic example of how reimagining our streets can have a profound impact on our communities. It shows that investing in people spaces not only boosts economic activity, but also improves safety and quality of life.
Okay, I think that's about.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Inspired Infrastructure for more insights into transformative.
Perfect. Well, that just gives you a little visual on how that came about and the reasonings behind it. So hopefully that kind of helps as we're going forward in what I'm speaking about. So next, I kind of wanted to just bring up some Oklahoma streetscapes and beyond, and I'm not going to read all of this to you. I just put as much information as possible so you could go back and look at it if you wanted to. But Sapulpa is in the middle of doing a really cool streetscape that I believe is going to be done around the beginning of the year. They recently completed their alley activation, which they went through and they cleaned up their alleys and made it a space where people wanted to hang out. It allowed opportunities for pop-up markets and seating and landscaping. And now they're in the middle of making, of course, the mid-block parking. And they're doing a pedestrian street on Dewey Street, and you can kind of see their mock-ups there. If you all want to go back, there is a full report in their master plan that I have that's a clickable link right there. We also have Purcell. They just did one. They made it much more walkable in their downtown as well, center lane parking. They have a really good report that you can view as well there that kind of shows why they did what they did. Pryor is in the middle of one as well. They got a lot of grants, which there are a lot of grants for this type of stuff. I believe TSET has something. We have an incentive program through Main Street, so there are different opportunities that we can look into, especially for whenever we're going looking at a master plan. Other districts are the Rose District in Broken Arrow, Stillwater, Bartlesville, and Ponca City just announced one as well. Here is beyond Oklahoma. More nationally, you can see Greer in South Carolina and Fort Collins in Colorado. These ones are particularly talking about, they have wonderful downtowns. I've never been to Greer, but Fort Collins is amazing. They have a wonderful pedestrian-only street where people hang out. It just feels like a good hallmark town to be at. So there, I have like a little link that says Heinz Incorporated. They did some of the work on this, and as I said, you guys can go back and look through that at your own time. So here's our vision of downtown, which would be 2-lane conversion in some areas with turn lanes, mid-block parking, 4-way stops. I know that gets a little scary sometimes to think about, but 4-way stops with bump outs and flashing pedestrian lights, streetscape beautification, possibility of a pedestrian street, and then the scary roundabout. So. Let's start with the pedestrian-only street. This one is pedestrian-only streets. They're blocks that are close to cars, and they encourage walking and events. So this has kind of been tested when we do our First Fridays. Ever since we started blocking off the entire square, we have noticed a huge increase in people coming out to our events. They feel safer. They walk around more. It's an environment that they want to be a part of. So this also boosts, traffic and business visibility. So we took Independence between Randolph and Maple, kind of did a little mock-up here on, what it could look like. Obviously, we're not masters at this, but, we have Callahan's there. We have Gaslight Theater. We have multiple shops down that area. And it seems to be one that is more possible than some of the others, like Randolph and, Grand and all of this. I would like to see it a pedestrian only all the time, but there's also options that you could put bollards up. And on the weekends, that's whenever you put the bollards up, and that's whenever it's pedestrian only. So there's lots to look into that. So then here's our mid-block parking concept. It is frees storefront spaces by relocating employee parking, like we were discussing. It adds parking capacity without widening streets, enhance pedestrian safety and experience, creates a space for beautification, and then the International Parking and Mobility Institute estimates that each on-street parking spot adds about $20K in revenue to local economies. So this is just, of course, the Lancaster on the left, from my left, yeah. And then on the right, we have just a little bit of a mock-up. Now, I understand Randolph has already been done not too long ago, but if we ever decided to go with a mid-block parking concept, that's easy enough to restripe. It wouldn't cost as much. If you do pull out, do that, we can also test it as well. So for the 4-way stops, because I know this can be kind of a foreign thing to think about unless you have been in an environment that they have it, I'm going to call up Kelly Tompkins. She was our former Main Street director, and she has been in a lot of different places and towns that use this, and so she'll give a little bit of information on why she thinks it's workable for Enid.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me jump in on this, because Ty and I, we're always wishing downtown was full of 4-way stops instead of lights, and maybe after these next 2 minutes you might think so too when you're downtown. But some of the benefits are you stop and go instead of stop and wait, often on no one. You don't get stuck behind a line of people waiting to turn left, or even just the person in front waiting to turn left, and you get, stuck in that left turn waiting period, because when you get up there, you check your surroundings and you go. It makes you pay more attention to your surroundings instead of focusing on that light to just try to, some people gun it to get through that light. But it makes you pay more attention to your surroundings, which is what we all need to do in walkable areas. When mistakes are made, because of course mistakes they're made a lot with lights, when mistakes are made on a 4-way stop, it is at slower speeds. So you've got less vehicular and human damage. All of these things make it safer for pedestrians. So when it feels safer, we're going to do more healthy walking. we're going to feel safer to walk across the street and explore more of the shops to do business at and spend more money at. And it's easier, I mean, it's cheaper for the city to maintain stops versus the traffic lights. This is easy to test. You can test it on certain intersections for a month, 3 months, however long, and just see how we all really feel and how we behave and how it feels to drive and walk around downtown when we have this situation set up. And we have, so Ty and I have been wanting this for like 8 or 10 years, and we really had our aha moment in downtown Bartlesville. There are two lanes with the center turn lane, 4-way stops, and they have huge businesses downtown, and they have traffic. But we walked several blocks, and we were like, wait a minute, we just kept on walking. I would never tell someone to just keep on walking. I'm just saying that was the result that we noticed, because every time you walk up to an intersection, this car stops before you walk across, and pedestrians have the right of way. It just worked so wonderfully. Every time I drive, and especially when I walk downtown, I'm always like, if these were 4-way stops, I wouldn't be waiting, and that person wouldn't have gunned it to get through that light. So thank you for letting me tell you why I love 4-way stops in walkable areas.
Thank you, Kelly. Great, thank you, Kelly. Okay, last on our list is another scary one. It's not scary, but I know how it looks from the outside. Roundabouts, and I think you guys just discussed maybe that in some traffic calming session that you all had, that this is one that is suggested for safety and traffic calming. So of course, roundabouts help with slower speeds. Vehicles naturally reduce speed when they're entering and navigating the roundabouts. Shorter crossings for pedestrians, fewer conflict points, and improved visibilities as well. So these, I have an old roundabout presentation that you all can look at. We presented it a few years back with Tom Rowe and did a mock-up about what it could look like and how it could feel. We took the Randolph, Washington, and Kenwood area that everybody hates to get stuck at, and it's just super confusing all the time, and made it into a roundabout because we believe that would be traffic calming and help the traffic get through at the right speed. We've even thought about, Kenwood's hardly ever used. That could be turned into parking. So those are some options. And then as you can see here, you may look up Carmel, Indiana. They did a lot of roundabouts in their town and had great success. So just some of the national data is 90% reduction in fatal crashes, 75% reduction in injury crashes, and then 40% reduction in pedestrian crashes. So very great data there. So with all that said, this can all be tried. A lot of this can be tried before we decide on it. We can do temporary paint, signage, flashing lights for 4-way stops. We can do this for 30 to 60 days, pilot to get some feedback. Traffic counts, I know that I worked with Mike Williams with the city on getting some traffic counts for us. Very interesting data that I'm diving into, but the big one was that nationally it is said that if you have less than 20,000 vehicles per day on each road, then you are able to you're a good candidate for narrowing your lanes and doing a streetscape. And so we were well with underneath that. It even said what the speeds people went. So we had some people going 75 miles per hour at times in our downtown. Now I imagine that's probably at 2 a.m. in the morning, but we did have that. We had a lot of 45 mile per hours and 50s. So that is very interesting data to dive into. So, of course, when we go to the business and economic impact, walkability drives longer visits and higher spending. It attracts employers and developers seeking vibrant downtowns, and it creates an environment built for people rather than cars. And that's when you go to, Washington and Virginia and Philadelphia and all these places that are built around the people and not around cars. They're very fun to hang out in. There's lots of shops, restaurants, and the businesses are doing well. So for measurable outcomes, obviously fewer crashes and pedestrian injuries, increased foot traffic, positive feedback from businesses and residents, and enhanced year-round vibrancy. So through all this, we do have community support. We've seen it through our First Fridays. We're starting a new festival coming up next weekend, the Painted Sky Festival. Started Locals Night Out for shopping. We have Enid Lights Up the Plains, of course, the One Bright Lights that's put on by the One. We have our downtown ice rink, and then, of course, the new amphitheaters coming in. And we have wonderful supporters from Park Avenue Thrift, ERDA, Main Street Enid Partners, and all of our volunteers who would like to see something like this. So I'm sorry that I took up all of your time, but hopefully not all of your time. But if I have any questions, I really appreciate you all listening to us about this. And I hope that we can come together and really make our downtown the best it can be.
Well, one quick question. When you talk about maybe this is the time for it, I was so struck, I think I'm thinking of the first Friday in May, the Fiesta First Friday, and we ended up going from Billy Beck's all across downtown to Settlers, and I swear to goodness, I think that was the biggest crowd of people I had seen downtown maybe in any First Friday. So it seems like this is built and people really love walkability.
Absolutely. We use the Placer AI from Stride, and for Cinco de Mayo, or First Friday Fiesta, we had over 5,000 people down there at one time. And then for our Enid Lights Up the Plains, we look at more around 10 to 11,000. So yes, our First Fridays have really, really grown, especially since closing off the entire square.
I have a question.
Yes.
As far as the mid-street parking. Mm-hmm. How would that work with parades?
Yes, so that has been a question. I love parades. Parades are wonderful. Are parades getting people into our businesses? They usually leave right afterwards. I would love to find out a way to do that. I think you still could. I think that if you do, go down one street and then maybe at some point they turn around and go down the other side. I think it would just be organizing it a different way. And that's coming from a person who throws a parade, so.
I just want to quickly say that, I'm sorry.
No.
That I just want to commend Main Street Enid and your whole team. You guys do a great job. You've really grown our downtown. I'm excited about some of these ideas. Hopefully we can all work together to come to a solution, because I think, like Frank mentioned, Commissioner Baker, that the walkability is wonderful, is needed. And so I'm just always going to be a Main Street supporter. I just want to thank you and your team.
Thank you so much.
So are we looking at about 3 streets? Because I noticed we talked about Washington, Independence, and Randolph.
Sure.
Those are 3 streets we're looking at.
So this was kind of a broad thing. We chose those streets. We chose those streets because they were easier to fit things in. We kind of did some mock-ups on Main, on Broadway, as far as it goes with, you can't do too much on some of those because of the post office. The post office needs to be able to turn in with their really large trucks. We run into that with Enid Lights Up the Plains and the parades and everything. So some of those things that we could do is maybe narrowing the lanes, adding a turn lane, maybe not so much mid-block parking in some of those areas. We're talking broad because we'd like to see our entire downtown, especially with the amphitheater coming in. We need to really focus probably at the entryways as well. But yes, on Washington Street, that's where we would see a roundabout, and then over on Independence between Maple and Randolph, that's where we would propose a pedestrian street.
Is there a priority? Would you prefer to see one over the other? Is there an increased need, I guess is what I'm asking.
Right. Well, if you're looking at mid-block parking and you're looking at the 4-way stops, the lanes really need to be narrowed to do those. So the lane narrowing, four-way stops are going to work better whenever you have your lanes narrowed, because if you have 4 lanes, that's just too much chaos and traffic. And then the mid-block can be filled in with that as well. I think the pedestrian street is really cool and really neat. I think that's something that could be filled in at a later time, but if we're looking at the amphitheater coming in, we probably need to look at some of those Grand and Independence where those streets are very wide coming into our entryway. I would love to see a archway at Grand and Independence that says Downtown District. So I think our lane narrowing and looking at that is probably the priority.
Thank you.
Of course.
You have more questions?
Just one other observation. I think at least 5 or 6 of us up here had the time we were in D.C. to go through Old Town Alexandria, which was extremely walkable and throngs of people. So I realize that's at a much bigger scale, but it just seems this is one of those things that could be that next big step for a downtown area with all the other improvements that are coming.
I agree. And I think driving the revenue to the businesses is the most important thing. So I appreciate your focus on that.
And I'd also like to mention that, employers, when they come in and they're looking for places to relocate or open businesses, they also look at the quality of life. And so whenever you're bringing people in, especially like hospitals and doctors and stuff, they want a place that they can raise a family, especially with our base here. And so this is just another way that we can provide that for them.
Natalie, I've got several questions.
Okay.
On the Lancaster illustration that you gave us, did they do any surveys before and after the general public, the people that lived in that general area? I mean, did they have a lot of folks opposed to that initially, and then they found out differently later, or even after it was done, they weren't crazy about it? I mean, what?
Sure, and I can get you that information. I wouldn't know about the beforehand. I'm sure just coming from seeing other main streets in Oklahoma, like what they've gone through, and them doing their survey, they have conducted surveys before, held town halls. There's always, it disrupts. It's a disruption. We won't lie about that. It is a disruption. It would be a disruption to the businesses at times. But as main streets, we try to fill in and help with, maybe we do alleyway, pop-ups, or have people come in through the back doors and try to help with those types of things. But, there's always the naysayers, and there's always the people who, they don't see it, but then when they see it come to fruition, they understand. So I can get you the information on that.
Have you talked to any of the downtown businesses regarding this?
Yes, I've mentioned it to quite a few. Tom Rowe with Settlers, he couldn't be here today, but he's in support of it. Gaslight Theater, very much in support of it. Callahan's, I do need to go talk to Callahan's, but I do know that we've discussed multiple times that they do wish that they could close off that street to start serving in the street, especially when we have First Fridays and stuff. So I'm sure they would be on board.
Okay. And this might be a Morale question, but our street I'm just taking Randolph to start off with. I'm not suggesting that we do Randolph, but I sat there and I was looking at this. How wide is our street? And you may not know this because we park at an angle, so the cars really stick out there quite a ways. Then we have four lanes, and then parking at an angle also. Is that wide enough to do what they're talking about right here on this Lancaster?
Each road, each block is different right away. So we need to look into the exact dimensions and to make sure what their widths are, so I can come back and give you some answers on it.
It would be close, though. That is a wide street, the more I think about it. It is. And so is Grand and Independence. You read my mind on the arches coming in when we get to the amphitheater. Yeah,
I love that.
Let me see what else. And also, Morale, on that roundabout, is there already enough room right there where she's talking about that roundabout could be done?
Roundabouts need to be designed for a specific speed. So, and also like Enid drives a lot of trucks. So we have to look at what is the like driving distances and stuff like that to make sure, like at initial glance, we need to acquire some more right of way without doing any more design into it. So definitely.
Which we could probably do that. We could probably get more right away.
We got some banks there and also a couple of buildings right next to it. So
Yeah,
it depends.
I think we can get it if we wanted to. I do like roundabouts, and if you've ever been anywhere that has roundabouts, it keeps that traffic moving and it slows it down a lot. And that's exactly what we were talking about just 2 weeks ago, how we're going to slow down some of this traffic. And since I found out that you were going to come and do this, I've started watching that traffic come through that intersection at Randolph and Grand. I bet they come through there at 50 miles an hour or better.
500.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think they figured it out that all of the lights turn green at the same time, and turn red at the same time, so they're just speeding through trying to get from one side to the other. But back to the roundabout, if you go and look at that, I have it linked in there, our old roundabout presentation. One of Tom Rowe's engineering friends, he's not from here, so he just did what he could from California, just to kind of help us. I do believe that there was areas that, like Murali was saying, there would need to be a right-of-way, mostly in the bank, where the bank is. But if you all look at that, that should help a little bit from just without looking at it in person. So,
Okay.
have I talked to the courthouse? No, that is on my list, though.
Okay.
I think we can get them on board.
I've also spent a lot of time up in Fort Collins, and once again, I didn't think I'd like a place where I had to park and walk, but it is wonderful. And if you think it's going to cause the foot traffic to go down, it does not. Man, I mean, you can't hardly stir them in Fort Collins. They have so much. I'd love to have a business right there in downtown Fort Collins just for that reason. They've got a little mini amphitheater right in the center of that, and they have live music going all the time. So all that being said, I mean, I can't speak for the commission. I don't think we're at a point to spend $11 million on anything
I
right
understand,
now.
yes.
But I do like the thought of some coming up with a plan and where we can test that. Because I'm not afraid to, let's try some things. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? We pull the tape up off the ground and call it a day and go back to the way it was, right? So it might be pretty good. And I like the idea of closing that Independence through there. I think that's a wonderful place to do that. I do think we'll have naysayers. We do every single time. But at the end of the day, your job, my job's to drive business.
That's right.
And, this might be a good way to do that. As far as trucks going down through there and whether or not they can make it, if they can in other communities, they can in ours also. They might have to find another route.
Right.
Right? So surely we can figure that out.
As long as it's not under the bridge, the sharp.
Yeah, that one's a little different story.
That might be a place to have walkability, right? There you go. But as for me, I'd like to see a study done, talk to the businesses, as long as they're, it doesn't have to be 100%, but as long as they're on board, I think I'd like to look at something that we could do, that we could test the waters and just see how that goes. I'd be in for that.
Too, yeah.
We'd be happy to partner in doing a survey for the businesses, and then also doing, testing this out. We've done it before. I think we did this quite a while ago. I think it was 8 years ago or so, before my time. IQC with OU, they come in and sometimes help with pop-up walkability studies. We've done them through AARP, so I do have some areas that we can look into and do something like that.
I also think the time's just right now that we're about to do the amphitheater. And we're doing all the, changing out so many of the new light fixtures downtown, going with LED. They'll all look the same.
Yay, I'm so excited.
I think we need to figure out how to continue that from the amphitheater, Stride Center, and just keep going right on down. So I see the need on Randolph, but I really think maybe Grand and Independence, our entryways into downtown, might be a good place to start. But I'm open to suggestions, but let us see if we can work something out on this end and get with y'all. I'd like to see something on a temporary basis, and let's just test the waters and see.
That'd be wonderful.
Great.
Thank you guys for listening to me. I really appreciate you all having me and being so open to something like this. I know a lot of times it can be scary and change is weird at times, so thank you for listening and being open.
Okay. Thank you, and thank everybody that came in tonight. Very good. A lot of these folks are fellow weed pullers, friends of mine. We had a cleanup day downtown, and man, I mean, they got after it. I was impressed. We didn't get all the way around it, but we got a lot of it done, didn't we?
You were there too, so.
Well, yeah, but a lot more work to be done. We can talk about this more in a little bit. I know we've got a section on that, but I found it very interesting that at exactly the same time that we were all posting about being number 4 in the state of Oklahoma, we had like 100 naysayers on Facebook. And I thought, you know, where are they right now as we're pulling all these weeds about wanting something better in town? So maybe if they'd work to get blisters on the palm of their hands instead of on the tips working that keyboard, you know, it might be just a little better. So, you know, if you want to complain, come on down next time we have one of these events. We've got a place for you. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'll get off that bandwagon. 3.3, update on engineering on capital improvement projects. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Jason?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. It is that time of year that I come to you with 83 slides.
You got 9 minutes. Boy. You got 9 minutes. I counted.
We're going to do a little bit different this year. I'm just going to go over some of the highlights, talk about some of our kind of accomplishments throughout FY25 real quickly, and then I put all those slides in there so that if anybody has any specific questions on a project, we can jump to that slide and I can talk to it. So, as always, capital improvement projects, they improve real property, and they also include major maintenance projects. In the FY25 program, we had 11 design-only projects, 42 budgeted projects that were budgeted at for just over $11 million. In the 11 design projects, we completed 5 of those designs. 6 of those are still currently in design, anywhere from 90% to 30% in design. And then on the budgeted projects, we completed 23 of those projects. 16 of those are under construction at this moment, and then 3 were deferred. And the deferred projects were projects that we kind of got into and realized that we maybe had some stronger needs at some other projects or other situations those 3 projects we actually completed the design and then we didn't do the construction. So, and I would also like to point out this year that we had 27 of our budgeted projects required design, and we did the design of the 23 of those 27 projects in-house. So my staff, they did a lot. They were busy this year. I also want to mention that before I go on, this year we also had a total of 14 loan and grant projects. Those projects, we completed 1 of those entirely. 6 are under construction. 6 are geared up and ready for construction. They've been awarded and ready to go, and 1 is currently in design. There's a breakout of our CIP program last year. Again, 42 projects at $11.4 million. Getting into the projects that I wanted to cover real quickly. 66th Street out east of town between Willow and Breckenridge Road is about 3/4 of a mile of project. We completed that project this year, and if you haven't been out there, I'd really suggest you run out there and take a quick drive on it. It turned into a really nice road, and it really added to that connection for traffic to kind of come around through this way off of US 412 and up to Breckenridge. The second project is the 10th Street project. Was budgeted last year. The wrap-up part of it, that project is now completely complete. It wrapped up 2 months ago or so. And it's another one of the projects that I want to brag on and make sure that if you haven't driven it, get over there and drive it, check it out. It really, it made that neighborhood, for whatever that was, 3 mile basically, it really cleaned that area up, made it look real nice. Sorry, totally blanked on the name of this project, Oakwood Trail. This year's ADA project was where we're going to design the trail basically from Cleveland Trailhead on the south, Oakwood Trailhead that's down south on Oakwood. Oops, wrong button. I'm so sorry.
I thought that was part of going through it real quickly.
Yeah.
So how many more now?
Let's see, where, I am so sorry. Oh, no. Okay, sorry about that. Get my little zoomy thingy here. There we go. The Oakwood Trailhead that's down here south on Oakwood, and so we've got this project. We got about 60% designed. We've got this portion up here completely designed, and we've released that out to bid. We awarded it on June 3rd. We haven't held the pre-construction meeting yet, but we're still working on a little bit of the right-of-way acquisition before we get to that project into full construction. That project is basically going to create a connection between the Commons facility or grounds. I can't think what they refer to it as, but the Commons grounds up to Randolph Road. So that would get a connection from there to Dollar General and then on up to Randolph. So,
Jason, I was looking at that in front of the Commons and just a little ways north of the Commons. The ground really falls off. So do you build it up, or is it built? Is the concrete down at the surface?
Yeah, our plan includes basically kind of building that up. The trail will be level with where the curb is, the top of the curb is now. Okay. And so it'll extend out. That builds up. That's why we require some right-of-way through that area, is so that, that TOA that we're going to build up there will extend out there.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at it from the road and you're like, how's that going to work? But we looked at the design and it's all there. So another project I wanted to mention that was budgeted this year and we've got to construction is the Waller Detention Pond, which is located just south of Chestnut and Cleveland, the southwest corner. This project include a detention pond and create some drainage and storage for that area. The project was awarded May 20th, and I have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow for the project. So we'll know a little bit more about when the actual construction will kick off for it tomorrow. Cleveland Boulevard project, everybody's favorite. So project is full swing. We're getting a lot of work done right now. The construction's about 70% complete right now. They're actually in the process of stabilizing the soil right now, and they'll be starting to lay asphalt hopefully either the end of this week or next week. I'm discussions with the contractor. They're going to temporarily open up the connection between the Jumbo's driveway that's on the northwest driveway of Jumbo's to Willow, so that they can reduce some of the traffic flow that's going to be coming in and out of there during the holiday weekend. Right now the project's scheduled to be completed August 8th, and that's when all lanes would be open, and there may be some touch-up work, but that's when that's planned to be. Prairie View Trail, excuse me. This is a project that we partnered with ODOT with, and this is going to be a trail connection from Oakwood over to the Prairie View Elementary. Right now that project is basically ready to start, and if you've noticed the signs, they snuck the signs up before I got a press release out on Saturday or Sunday, but construction is expected to start July 7th on that project. There is no plan to shut down Willow. There will be some construction traffic. There will be some flagging operations that will happen on Willow, but there's no intention to close Willow. So everybody can rest assured. They expect to be done with that project sometime in December. Is that right, Merle? Vance Air Force Base walking trail. So this is going to be the connection from the south side of Meadow Lake Park down to the Vance entry. This project, we're working on the submittals to ODOT, and then it'll be reviewed once we get those turned in with ODOT. 66 Industrial Park project. This is a ARPA funded project. It's going to include a new water line that loops out along Willow down 66th Street and then back around to Chestnut, and it'll actually extend down 66th down to the airport. Right now, the phase 1 of the project is under construction. It's about 70% complete. We've awarded both phase 2 and phase 3 of the water line. The design of phase 2 is done. We're doing some touch-up work on the design of phase 3. Both of those, as I mentioned, have been allotted into the contract with the contractor. So, 66 Industrial Park sewer, related to the previous project with the industrial park out there on 66th. The sewer will basically run down 66th Street and then over to the 54th Street lift station located at 54th and Market. Projects that is underway, their construction's underway. It's about 10% complete. All the materials, or majority of the materials, are on site. And this is actually a picture here. This is where they're actually tapping. This is the 54th lift station right here on this side of the screen. And this is a great big core drill. I think it was 36 inches or 36. And basically drilled a big old hole in the side of the existing lift station so that we can get started with the project. So that's where it's going to start. So they've gotten that done, and they got some pipe laid from there over the past week or so. And that's all the project that I wanted to go over to highlight specifically. And then if you guys have any specific projects you remember, you reviewed and recalled and would like me to talk on, I can jump to that slide and kind of update you on it.
I don't have a particular project, but I was wondering if there was any way that, like, we get a weekly report of what the city manager does during the week. Is there a way for me to get the projects going on in Ward 1 so that when I talk to residents, I can say, oh, by the way, they are starting that project right in front of your business or right in front of your, like I have a lot of people from the Commons asking when they're going to have their sidewalk to Dollar General is what they're calling it. And so it would be nice to be able to say, well, as a matter of fact, that's in design right now. Projected start date is September or whatever the information might be, but just something for my ward so that I can be on top of that stuff and be able to answer
Yes,
questions.
I think we could probably do something, but I imagine it's like being a parent. I couldn't probably just do it for you. I'd probably have to do it for everybody. So we're happy to do that.
If it's easy
And
enough
the weekly
to do.
report probably has a lot of that information, but it's just not categorized like that because it's not just what I'm doing, it's what the whole city's doing with the other departments. But I think we can do some of that, and we can probably work with some of the slides to identify the projects. I'll work with you guys, and we can figure that out.
We can divvy it up. I just don't have it broken up that way.
And I don't even know that it has to be a weekly report even, maybe just
No, it's construction, honestly, probably monthly.
monthly?
Because construction, it takes time and money. And but I do know that they'll be very excited about the sidewalk to Dollar General, so you can tell them that it is going to happen. So, in fact, who is our coffee group guy? Lynn Smith. Doesn't he live out there?
Yes. Yeah.
He would be a good ambassador out there if we let him know what's going on, to let him know. Yes, we can come up with something for all of you like that.
Any questions?
You sure? I got 79 more to go, or
Well, Jason, we make fun of your slide deck. How much work
Yeah.
Our engineering team
Yeah.
does. It just is phenomenal. And, you know, I love every time I hear someone go, why aren't we working on roads? I just go look at all the new concrete. I mean, you can see it everywhere you go. So I'm starting to say that orange is the new color of progress. So it's a good thing when you see those orange cones.
Do we have a map of the walking trail that shows what it's going to look like?
Yes, there's on a website, I believe we have the master plan that shows what's been completed, what's yet to be completed.
Okay.
And I don't know the exact link, but we can send that to you, send that out to you and everybody. But it is on the website, so I'm sure Kent's back there trying to look for it right now. No pressure, Kent.
Because I remember not too long ago that Commissioner Stallings, he had mentioned something, let's not forget the walking trail, so.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? Questions, concerns? Nope.
Okay.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you all.
Item 3.4, quarterly update on the Chisholm Trail Metropolitan Planning Organization. Taylor, I think this is you.
Hi, everyone. I am Taylor Massey. I am the Transportation Planner for the Chisholm Trail Metropolitan Planning Organization. So I wanted to start you guys off with something a little fun. Welcome to the world of acronyms. MPO, there's so many things. I literally have, this is the list I was given on my first day.
Good Lord.
Learn what these mean. So the MPO started in 1973. It's federally required for any population greater than 50,000 people. Enid, in their 2020 census, hit 50,194. So we were designated an MPO on December 29th, 2023. These are 6 core functions of the MPO. I'm just going to go through them really quickly. Establish and manage fair and impartial settings for effective regional decision-making in the metropolitan area. Identify and evaluate alternative transportation improvement options. Develop and maintain a metropolitan transportation plan, which we'll get into what that is here in a little bit. Develop and maintain a transportation improvement program, again, something that we'll get into. Involve the general public and other affected constituencies in the 4 essential functions listed above, and identify performance measure targets and monitor whether implemented projects are achieving targets. So this is our MPA, the Metropolitan Planning Area. As you can see, it's the whole city of Enid, the town of North Enid, and part of the county. So the MPO has 2 different committees. The first one is the technical committee. It is the TTC, another acronym, coordinates transportation issues at the technical level, provides technical advice, and then makes recommendations to the other board. The other board is the Transportation Policy Board, the TPB. This board has been designated as the MPO for the Chisholm Trail Metropolitan Area and the final approval authority for the transportation planning. They review all the work programs and make policy determinations, considering the transportation plan and the transportation improvement program. Those are the 2 big ones that were part of the core functions. There are 10 planning factors. Support the economic vitality of the metropolitan area, especially by enabling global competitiveness, productivity, and efficiency. Increase the safety of the transportation system for motorized and non-motorized users. Increase security of transportation system for motorized and non-motorized users. Increase accessibility and mobility of people and freight. Protect and enhance the environment. Promote energy conservation, improve the quality of life, and promote consistency between transportation improvements and state and local planned growth and economic development patterns. Enhance the integration and connectivity of transportation systems among in between modes for people and freight, promote effective system management and operations, emphasize the preservation of the existing transportation system, improve the resiliency and reliability of the transportation system, and reduce or mitigate stormwater impacts of surface transportation, and enhance travel and tourism. There are 4 planning products: the Unified Planning Work Program, Metropolitan Transportation Plan, the Transportation Improvement Plan, and the Public Participation Process. So the UPWP is a Unified Planning Work Program. It is to provide guidance for the continuing comprehensive and cooperative approach to transportation planning. So the continuing portion is the planning process is ongoing with regular updates and adjustments based on performance monitoring and evaluation. This ensures the plan remains relevant and effective over time. Comprehensive portion is a wide range of transportation modes such as highways, transit, biking, and walking, land use, and environmental factors to create a holistic and integrated transportation system. And the cooperative portion involves collaboration and coordination among various stakeholders, including local governments, state departments of transportation, public transportation providers, and the public. The Metropolitan Transportation Plan, the MTP, this is our long-range plan. It says that it addresses no longer than 20 years horizon. Ours is going to be 25 years, and it's updated every 5 years. And yes, there is, I think that's the trail map there. The Transportation Improvement Program. This is our short-term plan. It goes along with the MTP, but it's only for 5 years, and it's updated every 2 years. And we currently have this one done. It will be updated this year. Public participation process. This is where we have to get the support of the public participation through the planning and decision-making process related to the development of proposed transportation plans, programs, and projects, so that a safe, effective, efficient transportation system reflecting the needs and interests of all stakeholders can be provided. These are the transportation plan priorities. And for our FY 2026, these are the 6 factors that we came up with, or 7 factors we came up with. Maintain the website for the MPO, data collection for the MTP, development of the MTP. Our main focus this year is the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, that long-range plan. Review functional class and submit revisions to ODOT, establish performance management targets for the MPA, which is the area, and attend training for further enhancement of MPO's understanding of transportation planning processes. This is a quick little overview of our funding we got federally this year. These are our planning funds. We got $187.5 thousand. 2.5 of that is set aside for our safe and accessible transportation. We get that every year. 2.5 has to be set aside. We currently are not using that. We are setting it aside for future use since it is such a small amount. We will add that up. We'll see where we're at in a couple of years and go from there. This is kind of be spent and allocated on what kind of projects. If you see, a lot of it goes to that long-range transportation. That's that MTP. So I'm going to go through what is the UPWP.
Taylor, we've got a couple of minutes, so you're going to have to probably go a little quicker.
Okay,
And
a
if they
little
have
faster.
questions, they will ask.
Absolutely. So for the first element is program and support. It's kind of just day-to-day admin stuff. Our element 2 is the data collection. Most of that is going to go towards the MTP and what we're doing. Improvement program is the TIP, that short-range plan. And like I said, that will be updated this year, and it's every it's over a span of 5 years. The public participation, the MTP is going to have a lot of that. We actually hired a consultant, Poe and Associates, to at least 3 different public participation meetings. So element 7 is the complete streets. That's that 2.5% that I was talking about. So what are the benefits of having an MPO? There are enhanced regional coordination and collaboration, this unified approach. So MPOs bring together local, state, federal agencies as well as other stakeholders to address regional transportation challenges, consolidated planning. They streamline the planning process for transportation products, ensuring a consistent and coordinated approach across jurisdictional lines. Open forum, MPO meetings provide a platform for discussion and decision-making on regional transportation matters, fostering transparency and public input. Access to federal funding. So MPOs meet federal requirements, which give us more money to be able to apply for grants that we couldn't when we were in a rural area. Now we're this urbanized area. Efficient funding allocations. By coordinating planning and programming, MPOs help ensure the federal funds are allocated efficiently and effectively across regional transportation priorities. The state actually received $3.6 million for the FY26 planning funds, and they are distributed by by population between the 5 MPOs. So that was that 1.8 or the 187.5 that we got. Long-range planning, MPOs develop long-range transportation plans that outline strategies for addressing transportation needs over a 20-year period. Project prioritization, they create transportation improvement programs which detail specific projects. Multimodal focus, MPOs consider a range of transportation modes including highways, public transit, walking and biking, and promoting more of a balanced, efficient transportation system. And then local input and representation, ensuring local needs are heard from the public and local priorities. They work to strike a balance between regional transportation goals and a unique need of individual communities within the metropolitan area. And then lastly but not least, technical expert and support. Our boards are made up of a lot of smart people, so we get the local governments on transportation planning issues, helping navigate complex regulations, and then data collection and analysis. They collect and analyze data on transportation trends and needs, providing valuable insights for informed decision making. So it's kind of an overview of the MPO and what I'm working on this coming fiscal year.
OMG.
Transportation Policy Board meetings, the week after we have the Transportation Technical Committee meetings. And this is after much groundwork has been done, a lot of it by Ms. Carol Lehman, our city attorney. Thank you very much. You're leaving a legacy there.
Yes.
So we're learning as we go. Taylor is our full-time person, and she is getting immersed in this. So if you ever have any questions, we're happy to answer them. Taylor can answer them. You're welcome to come. We can only have 3 of you there, so I'm not sure you can, maybe you can come as a public. We'll have to ask our city attorney, but in any event, the 3 commissioners that represent you there, along with the other communities, the county's represented, North Enid, ODOT comes, Transit's there. So it's a good group, but we're kind of new, and you'll remember about 3 years ago we made the decision that we were going to do it ourselves, and I think that was a good decision. So any questions for Taylor before we wrap up the study session?
I'd just like to make a comment. If you're looking for a good group to be on for fun-filled adventure, this is your plan. Next year, be sure and sign up for it. Great. Hopefully we'll get some benefit out of it from the state funds. Kind of making a little light of it there, but it's a big deal for getting money from the state for transportation. So.
Taylor, 2 very quick questions.
Yes, sir.
On the, early on in your presentation, I didn't see a page number on this, but where it's talking about transportation planning factors, line item number 10, it says enhanced travel and tourism.
Yes.
Does that mean, can I interpret that to mean that there could be some grant money out there to help with downtown Enid?
Yes, there should be. So we have to get our long-range plan done first, that MTP. So that's the focus for this year. But after that, that's federally required to have us done by December 2026. So once that's completed, then we can kind of go out there and search for the grants.
Okay. Cool. Then my second question, just real quick. Did I understand that the state received 3.8 million, and of that was divided between 5 MPOs?
Yes.
We only received 187 out of
So
3.8?
we actually got 200. It's that Safe Streets is pulled out of there. So that's where
It's what?
the Safe Streets, the Complete Streets is pulled out of there, that 2.5%. So technically, we got the 200,000, but yes, out of that, it's based on population, and we are the smallest population out of the 5 MPOs.
One of the things at future MPO meetings we'll be talking about with the policy board and the technical committee is we'll have budget reports too. So
Yes,
that
absolutely.
now that we actually have some money, that's about $12,500 I think you're talking about that's put away somewhere else that's added up over time. We do think as we get further in the process and more knowledgeable, we'll be able to understand better and ask. There may be some piece of the pie that we're missing out on because there's only 5 MPOs, right? And we're the newest one, so.
We are the newest.
Well, I just
And
don't
that,
always
you
want
know,
to see
census
Oklahoma City,
comes,
Tulsa.
hopefully we have more people so we can get some more money.
Yeah, okay. Commissioner Baker, did you have a?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, and
Taylor, thank you so much. I know that's a lot of information, but we do appreciate it. And Carol, thank you again for mounds of documents that you put together. So we'll get there, and I think we'll be better off once we get all underway and going on this. So that being said, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Just adjourn.
Huh?
Don't vote.
Oh, that's right. That's right. My bad. We are adjourned.
And just as you can look up there, you found the link, Kent, so we probably just need to make sure